I think we all just need to pepper our lives with lots of grace and love
Absolutely.
and
Absolutely.
just try and walk in other people's shoes.
Well, thank you, Rob, for being with us today. It's awesome to have you here.
Oh, thank you.
And I thought we might just start off with a few just some icebreaker questions, find out a little
Sure.
bit about you
Nothing too difficult, I hope.
and relax you.
Oh,
So, what's something people would be surprised to learn about you?
I'm actually very good at karaoke
Ah,
and I love it.
really?
Yes.
Karaoke night? You'll have to join the. We have a couple of evenings here. You'll have to come and join
In
us.
fact, my wife has just bought a karaoke machine for home, and we had our first karaoke night at home a couple of weeks ago and had an absolute ball.
Oh,
So,
that is so good. We have a karaoke machine at our house. My husband loves it.
oh,
He does.
well, got
He's
that.
he's in Finland right now, and guaranteed every Saturday night he'll be out karaokeing,
Yeah,
which is good. Well,
yeah.
that's good to know.
Hmm.
Okay, so what's a book, movie, or TV show that you've recently enjoyed?
Oh, gosh, I'm a shocker because I just spend my life just going from one thing to the next. I really do love life.
Yeah,
So I always have three or four books on the go. I'm always in the middle of three different series.
right.
I'm always trying to read at least one motivational book, one work of fiction. And so at the moment, I'm reading Wilbur Smith's latest book, and I'm just trying to remember what it's called. I also like the James Patterson theory,
Mm,
the private series. So
mm-hmm.
there's Berlin Private, there's oh gosh, Monaco Private, the Rome Private, Australia Private. They're all, quite interesting and
Mm,
exciting and fast-paced detective stories.
awesome.
And then I've been reading another book by John Mark Comer from New York. He's a pastor and he's written a book called The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry, which I'm really enjoying at the moment. So you
That's
look at my bedside table, there's about six books on the side. And then if you look at my backpack or my sling bag that I carry with me pretty much everywhere, you'll find one or two books in there so I never go anywhere without a book.
okay. Okay. Well, that's awesome. Do you do them online or no? You've got books there, but have you ever
No,
used an
I'm a
iPad?
dinosaur. I still like the old fashioned
Yeah,
actual hard paper
I like to
copy.
write on them.
Yeah, and put post-it notes in and
Exactly. I'm with you.
highlight a pen and comments in the margin and all
Yeah.
of that.
Oh,
Yeah,
awesome. Well, I like the sound of that book. I might look that one up myself.
John Mark Comer.
Okay, I shall remember. What's your hidden talent or party trick then? If you're a karaoke fiend, what is your hidden talent or party trick?
Oh, I think it's the fact that I actually am a
Sing.
reasonable singer. I was lead singer in a band back in the late 70s.
Were you?
I always tell my boys we were the Hillsong United of the 70s, and they all laugh at me because we were a fairly well-known Christian rock band back in the days when drums were instruments of the devil and keyboards were honky-tonk instruments that only sinful people had, but we had drums and keyboards and guitars, and we even had an electric violinist. So,
Oh, wow. What were you called?
Cornerstone. And
Cornerstone. Here on the Gold Coast?
we were mainly in Brisbane, but
Okay.
we travelled around Queensland and southeast Queensland a bit. We even travelled to Sydney on one occasion and played at a big music festival. And then we played at a whole series of rallies in the 80s called Expo 80, when 40,000 young people converged on Brisbane for a conference. And we were one of the main feature bands every night at Festival Hall and out at the Royal Brisbane Showgrounds for music events every night.
So
So
is there a chance we could have a Cornerstone revival?
I've talked about it, and
Oh,
funnily enough, our lead guitarist, who has been overseas, he's been in New York for a few years, and then he went to London to run a law firm.
mm.
I just got a message from him on LinkedIn the other day to say that he's moving back to Australia and going to retire into an apartment at Main Beach, and I thought, gee,
Mm.
this could be maybe this is the moment we could look at a Cornerstone revival. But
Oh, well, stay in tune for this. I think something's coming. That's
mm,
so good.
no.
So, what's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
Oh, that's easy. Many, many years ago, when I was a young trainee manager with Woolworths, and I was all of about 19 years of age, I had a conversation in the car park after a conference with Woolworths. I was a trainee manager with Woolworths, and there was a group of us standing around, and the state manager just rolled up and started chatting with us. And then everyone left, and I'm just left standing with the state manager, a guy called Fred Stullard back in the day. And anyway, he sensed that I was a little bit lost. And so he actually took me under his wing and mentored me for a number of years.
Oh,
And his advice to me was always just be yourself.
yeah,
He would often say, Rob, just be Rob.
yeah,
Rob's a good bloke. Just be Rob. Be
yeah,
yourself.
yeah,
Be true to yourself. Don't try and be someone else. Just
yeah.
be yourself.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really good advice.
And look, it's I have to say it's carried me well over the
Yeah,
years,
yeah.
particularly in a political environment.
Mm,
It's very easy to get lost with the politics and the
mm.
optics and the media and what people think and what you should be saying. And I think it's just so important to keep coming back to that central place of, well,
Absolutely.
who am I? What do I believe? What do I stand for? What are the things that I want to change? So that's always been,
And be
um,
the best version of you.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I say that
So,
to my staff. Just
yeah,
be the best version of you. Don't be trying to be somebody
yeah.
different. Yeah.
And more recently, I had received another piece of advice when I was in hospital last year after my stroke.
Mm.
It was a mate of mine, Peter Madras, who lives out here at Benoa, and he just sent me a text message that said, "Whatever they tell you to do more," which,
Ah,
of course, with stroke recovery and brain training, is so important because repetition is what really drives brain training. So when you want to get your hand moving again and your leg, and you want to learn to stand up. If they tell you to, stand up and sit down 50 times, do it 100
yeah.
times. There was a machine at the hospital they called the green machine, which was all about just moving your arm forward and teaching the arm to work again with my left arm. And they'd say, we want you to do 100. And I think my record was I got up to 560 in one session on that, which which is just about training,
Yeah.
retraining your arm. And even now with my ongoing rehab,
Hmm.
I just set myself a goal. I've got a little clicker that I take to the gym,
Hmm.
and I make sure that I do at least 400 or 500 reps every session.
Yes.
And it doesn't matter whether it's, standing up and sitting down or stepping up with my leg or doing dumbbell presses or whatever. I
Mm-hmm.
just count every single movement.
Hmm.
And so I try and do at least 400 to 500 reps every hour that I'm at the
Wow.
gym. So,
Wow. Well, you've got too much to do, so you have to do that. I mean, you've got too much in the future of impact that you're going to have.
well, and look, like all of us, we're not getting any younger, and I'm very conscious.
Mature and wise we are, Rob.
Yes, we
Mature
are
and
mature and
wise.
wise.
Hmm.
It's not just about stroke recovery; it's also about maintaining what you've got,
Mm,
and making sure you've got the strength to live a full life into the future. So,
absolutely.
exercise is a very important part of that.
Well done.
Mm.
Okay. Well, thank you for that. What I'd like to do is just go into a series of questions now
Okay,
about the impact that you have in life. So, can you start by telling us a little bit about who you are and what you do?
okay. Well, I started life as working at Gold Coast bakeries, packing bread rolls into plastic bags and loading loaves of bread onto a slicing machine.
Awesome.
So that was my first job.
Mhm.
And then I graduated to Goldstein's, where I got to stir the custard on Saturday mornings and make sure it didn't burn for the
Okay.
custard tart. It's a very
And
important
you had to
role.
taste it, of course.
Well, there was definitely some sampling that went on
Yeah, I think so.
afterwards,
Mm.
absolutely. And then over the years, look, I've been a Woolworths manager, which I loved, and I travelled all around Australia. I spent 30 years in the broadcast industry and
Okay.
again travelled all over Australia, managing small and large radio stations.
Okay.
And then for my sins or otherwise, I decided about 15 years ago that I would move into politics. And so I've been a member of parliament for the last 14 years
Hmm.
and absolutely love it because I get paid to do what I love to do most, and that's helping people.
Mm. which is awesome. And you do a darn good job, I
Oh,
have to
thank
say.
you.
So, what first sparked your desire to make an impact in the field or in your community?
Oh, gosh, that's a big question.
It is.
I think it goes probably the earliest origins of that were when I first joined the radio industry.
Okay.
And so I was offered an opportunity in Broken Hill to go and work
Ah,
with two guys, David Tunkin and John Curtis, who had not only just recently purchased the radio station, and their desire was to use the radio station to be a positive influence on the community. And you can imagine a mining town of,
mm,
with 100 years of history
mm,
in decline. There were a lot of challenges. And so that was probably my first real introduction to some fairly significant community service. And I left Woolworths after nearly 12 years, and I joined them as a partner in the business. And so our focus was to train young people to be a positive influence in the media industry and to use the profits from the radio station to make a positive influence in the community. So we did things like we took essentially propped up the YMCA, and we started running big youth nights at the YMCA to get kids out of their homes and out of negative environments into a positive environment where they were mentored and challenged. We actually bought the convent, which had 30 rooms for the nuns,
wow.
and was this magnificent old building up on the hill. And out of that, we converted that into a drug and alcohol rehab for young people.
Great.
And so we moved 3 or 4 families into the main building, and then we supported young people through a 6-month, 12-month, and 2-year program. And then out of that, we realised that young people also needed the opportunity to work and develop a work ethic. And so we started setting up social enterprises. So we opened a coffee shop, which ended up being so successful and so busy that we sold it because it was too
To
big to
manage.
run with the number of students that we had and the families, the impact. And so we moved into pizzas. So we ran a pizza shop, which originally we said, oh, look, we'll just run it a few nights a week. It was the first dial pizza business ever in Broken Hill, and probably one of the first ones in Australia now that I look
Wow.
back on it. And that just took off. And in the first year, it ended up making more money than the radio station. But the profits from that actually supported 30 young people in the drug and alcohol program.
Wow.
It supported the 4 families that were running the program and provided wages and income for them to be able to do that work. And it supported a full-time manager and a few other people.
And
So
is it still going today?
in different form, but it actually became the model in about 5 or 6 other centres. So we ended up expanding into Dubbo. We expanded into Emerald. We opened a store in Dalby, another one in a place called Canowindra. And we also ended up buying a squash and fitness centre in Coonamble in Western New
New
South
South Wales,
Wales.
yes.
And because the squash centre was struggling a bit, we ended up putting pizzas into there as well. And we had a team of 12 young people that the same thing. They went there for a 12-month program to work, be
Yeah.
mentored, be supported, removed from their normal environment and put
Mm-hmm.
into a more positive environment where there was support and opportunity to turn their lives
Wow.
around. So
You went
that
to,
was sort of the early beginning, and
yeah.
then I just fell in love with the media. And back in those days, if you had a media license, you had an obligation to serve the community. So every 5 years, you would have to front up with archive boxes full of submissions and documentation to
Okay.
show all the good things you'd done to the Broadcasting Tribunal. And I think that essentially is what really set me up for that sort of life of community service.
Wow. I'm an old Dubbo girl.
Ah,
I grew up in Dubbo.
so do you remember Pizza Runners?
I don't.
Okay.
But I left Dubbo in 1960
Oh,
something,
okay.
so
Well, this
way
was
back
there in
then.
1980
Oh
something.
no,
So,
I was gone by then.
yeah. In fact,
I was up here on the Gold Coast by
in,
then.
in fact, I think we were one of the early competitors for Eagle Boys because that was where they started as well. So,
Ah,
mm,
really? Oh, that's amazing.
yeah.
That's amazing. See, we have more connection than you realise.
Yeah.
Okay, so can you share a defining moment in your journey, something that shaped your mission or your values?
Gosh, a defining moment in my journey. There's been so many. Probably the most defining was that chance meeting with the state manager in
I
the
get
car
you.
park as a
Yes.
young person. Like I was in absolute awe and fear of him because he was like the big boss.
Yeah.
And to have someone like that take me under his wing.
Mm.
Um, and again, some of my values around community service came from them too, from that time too,
Mm.
because he was on the board of an organisation that supported families that had lost children through cot deaths. I can't
Right.
remember the name of the organisation. It was the old SIDS organisation. He was on two or three other boards in Queensland, and he was running Woolworths
Mm.
statewide and then eventually nationally.
Mm.
And he just had a very sort of strong sense of community service and said that, look, if you're going to enjoy the fruits of a great job and a great industry, then we all have a responsibility to put something back as well. So you need to
Mm.
think about how you can serve.
Wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. So, what does real, meaningful change look like for you?
Oh, it's a challenge because everyone's on a different journey. So I think it starts with understanding and accepting the fact that everyone's not you,
Mm.
and that everyone has a backstory, and you need to try and understand what's gone on before to
Mm-hmm.
understand where they can go
Mm-hmm.
and what roadblocks or impediments
Mm.
there may be to that. And so I always say to the team in the office, and I've said this for years, I think we all just need to pepper our lives with lots of grace and love,
Absolutely.
and
Absolutely.
just try and walk in other people's shoes.
Mm.
So I don't know whether I actually answered the question,
No,
but
you did. I think that's, I'm
but I,
with
but I
you.
think it
Yeah.
I think it starts with trying to understand where people are at rather than judging.
And,
Try and find a point of empathy or
mm,
understanding so you can try and work out what's really going on.
exactly. I always say dig deep and find
Mm,
out where it is.
yeah,
And you, when you get there, you go, ah, and then
yeah.
you grow from there.
Or you
Absolutely.
go, actually, I understand why they're like that now.
100%. Yeah.
And when you look at society at large and you look at issues like domestic violence, child safety, the number of children that have been subjected to sexual abuse
Mm,
or abuse.
mm,
There's so many backstories that define or shape people.
mm,
But I do think it's important. You've got to push people a little bit too and go, well, look, you can sit there and be a victim for the
mm-hmm,
rest of your life,
mm-hmm,
or you can make a conscious decision to be a victor. And so you need to start thinking about what are the steps and actions I need to undertake
mm,
to be victorious
mm.
and not let my past define me. So
Absolutely.
there's got to be a line where you encourage people to sort of move on and move past.
So, can you share an example where you saw your work create tangible impact, maybe for a person or a community or?
I have so many stories to tell there. Or Cornerstone. I mean, that was amazing to see. Every year to see 20, 30 young people's lives just turned around. and
Mm,
and I remember years later I walked in to a pizza shop in and one of the young people that had worked for us in Broken Hill was now there, married, had three little kids, and had moved to Charleville and opened his own pizza shop on the exact same formula that we'd set up.
ah,
And I got to sit there and with my kids, and we shared pizzas and we chatted about what a change it had made for them.
yeah.
And I often run into people who I might have done something really little for,
Mm,
but for them it was significant,
mm,
and you don't even know it. In fact, one of the running jokes in my office now is that I often have people come up to me in public and thank me profusely for something that I did. And of course, I always go, well, look, that's a pleasure. I'm so happy we could help. And then later I go, I've got no idea. And then I find out that one of my staff, one of my team in the office had actually completely dealt with the matter, had sent a letter off to a minister or a department or to a local organisation. And while I never knew about it, they're just quietly getting on with fixing problems for people
wow.
one at a time. And that's incredibly rewarding.
Oh,
So,
100%. So, what drives you to keep showing up, especially when the work gets hard?
Oh, well, there's actually a verse in the Bible which I can't remember the exact spot where it comes from, but and it's a favourite of mine. It just says, "To whom much has been given, much is required."
Mm,
And there's a second verse which again it's probably one of it's probably my second favourite, and that is, "God is generous to those who are generous." So for me, I just keep turning up because I feel like I've been very blessed. I have enjoyed a very full and rich life, and so I feel like there's a sense of responsibility to pay it forward or pay it back.
mm.
And only just last night, I on short notice got invited to a function where someone said, "Look, we've got 100 people coming to visit. I know it's short notice, but we need someone from Parliament to come and greet them." And then one of the ladies that I met there, she said, "Oh, well, we live in Sydney and we're at Point Piper, and it's just a great spot for the fireworks on New Year's Eve. We'd really love you and your wife to come down and have dinner with us one time." And so, like, I don't know whether we'll do that or not, but to me, it was just a very recent example of, if you're generous with your time and generous with people. And I made a point of going out of my way last night to welcome every single person, exchange contact details with them all. So, good politician, I worked the room and turned up and did what I had to do, which is
Mm,
wave and smile. But there's an impact there for some of those people that were there. It's a big deal to meet someone.
absolutely.
And I have to keep remembering that, look, I don't think I'm a big deal, but other people actually get a bit of a buzz out of meeting
Absolutely.
someone who's a member of parliament.
Absolutely. And how encouraging is it
Mm,
for them to see you there and what you model to them?
yeah.
Yeah, which is great. So, what kind of a legacy do you hope to leave behind?
Oh, well, obviously my family, and I'm very proud of my sons. The single biggest thing for me, and I really wrestled with this as an issue when I was in child safety with Tracy Davies back under the in the Newman years, and also through my involvement with Bravehearts over the last 20 odd years as a director. I've kept puzzling over all the social issues that we struggle with,
Mm,
and I've come to the realization that until you put a roof over someone's head,
mm,
you can ply in as many services and as much support and mentoring and propping them up with groceries and relocating them and paying for removalists and counsellors and everything else. But if you don't have the security of somewhere to live,
mm,
then the cycle just continues.
mm.
And so I decided probably 9 or 10 years ago that the single most important thing I should fight for as a member of parliament is housing. And
Good.
and so I've been trying now for the last 7 or 8 years to change the narrative because there's more than one or two styles of housing. So we typically always talk about public housing
Mm,
or social housing.
mhm,
We typically talk about private housing or home ownership,
mhm,
but there's actually other categories of housing that we don't talk about.
mm,
And one of the categories that I think is so important is what we call supportive housing.
mhm,
And there's a few forms of that. So you look at common ground. So common ground provides housing and support for chronically homeless. So people that have got PTSD, people that are suffering with mental health issues,
mm.
people that are suffering with drug and alcohol issues. And so I think as a government, we need to really fully understand the value of supportive housing. And I'm so pleased because the narrative has changed.
Good.
In the last 3 or 4 years, we've had the federal government announce their National Housing Infrastructure
Mhm,
Fund, of course, the Chrysler government, and I'm so proud of the Premier and his commitment to housing Queenslanders
mm.
and addressing this issue. And he's genuinely very passionate about it. But supportive housing makes sense because not only does it put a roof over someone's head, it actually saves government money. And
Sure.
I've done the maths on a few
Yeah.
different models. So you look at a family in crisis over 20 years, if they keep moving, all the social issues that come out of that, multiple placement syndrome, the lack of security and stability, removal costs, support workers, broken leases, reinstated leases, rental subsidy, all of that. If you just stabilise that family and put a roof over their head for 10 or 15 or 20 years and let the kids have a normal life where they grow up in a neighbourhood and a community and get to go to the same school, the cost savings in that scenario are significant compared to the alternative. And I'm frustrated by it. I mean, if you look at every state of Australia without exception, including the federal government, historically, and we go, why have we got a housing crisis? We've spent more money on solar panels in the last 10 years than we have on building houses. The national spend, if you look at the Housing Infrastructure Fund and other commitments made, it's 0.4% of the national budget. So the fund that the federal government announced just before the last election, it's $20 billion over 5 years. It's less than 0.5% of the $900 billion annual federal budget. And then if you look at every state of Australia, the budget's typically about half to 1% of the total budget. So we're spending more money on other programs and other initiatives than we actually spend on housing. And I'm pleased now that we're back in government that we have upped our commitment. I think the commitment this year is it's nearly 1.5%, and it'll continue to grow as we build capacity to deliver more homes. But that to me is fix housing and then worry about all the other wraparound services, because until you stabilise a family or an individual, you're just going to be throwing good money away after bad.
Yeah.
So that's my legacy, is to change the narrative and have supportive housing talked about as just... And supportive housing is not just for the chronically homeless. Supportive housing is what we provide to aged people through aged care and nursing homes. It's what we provide to young people through residential care, or more importantly, youth foyers, where kids get to go and earn and learn, and then they're supported to finish their education and establish a life. So there's many models of it.
Absolutely. Well, we work with SIL homes.
Yes, of
supported
course.
independent living homes, and that is such good news, because I know I have friends and I know of people who live on the street that shouldn't be there.
Yeah.
And all they need is a hand.
Yeah.
They just need a hand up. And if we could be that supportive hand, great. Love it. Okay, so what advice would you give to someone who wants to make a difference but isn't quite sure where to start?
Well, two pieces. I did think about this before I came. One is write a list. So, I have people come to me and say, I'm thinking I'll run for council, or, what can I do? Or I want to run for government. I always say, well, what do you want to fix? So I would start with a piece of paper and I would go, okay, what are the 5 things you want to fix? Because if you can't answer that, then what's the point?
Yeah.
So I always start there. It doesn't have to be 5. It could be 9, or it could be 2. But start with a piece of paper and write down, well, what is it that I want to fix? And then the second piece of advice, which a lady called Karen Walsh gave to me from Micah Projects in Brisbane years ago, she said, it's better to do something for someone than try and do everything for everyone, lest you end up doing nothing for no one. And I think it's important to understand, when you want to help people, you can't help everyone.
No, you cannot.
There's a tsunami of need out there, which is caused by all sorts of issues. Bad government policy, poor choices by individuals. There's so many pieces to that puzzle that we can't control. But what we can do is we can help someone.
Absolutely.
And so I would say, start with what's in front of you and then see where that goes.
One step at a time.
Yeah.
So what inspires you right now, and why?
What inspires me now? I think I've always been inspired. In fact, it was interesting last year when I had my stroke. I had people come to me and say really helpful things like, well, I guess now that you've had the stroke, you're going to really reassess all your life goals, and you're going to actually start really living for yourself. Or you've probably got that bucket list that you're going to finally look at.
Yeah.
That's never been me. I've always tried to live life on the way.
Yes.
And so for me, I don't have any regrets.
Yeah.
I've travelled the world. I've met amazing people. I've been to incredible places. I've worked hard and I've done it all simultaneously. And if someone says, "Do you want to grab lunch or brekkie?" I love people. I love hanging out with people. There'll always be work to do. You can always catch that up this afternoon or tonight or on the weekend or whatever.
Absolutely.
I'd just say you've just got to live in the moment. And there's a wonderful quote by George Bernard Shaw, which says that, life is no brief journey. It's like a splendid torch that I want to hold, and I want to be thoroughly used up when I die. I'm only giving you a few snippets of it,
Yeah.
but I love that quote because I just want to live every day and enjoy every day.
Awesome.
And speaking of George Bernard Shaw, and I digress, I actually went to New York a few years ago and I met this guy called JR who created the first television commercials for Chrysler in the 1950s in America. And he was semi-retired, and we just happened to meet him at this dinner. And he invited us to his home in New Jersey for a barbecue, or for a grill, as he called it.
Yeah.
And he had one of the original founding fathers' homes in New Jersey. It had dual staircases where the servants would go up one flight of stairs.
Okay.
It still had all the pull cords through the building. He was quite an eccentric chap.
Yeah.
But I went to the bathroom and there's a Picasso hanging up above the toilet unit, and it was a real one.
Yeah.
And anyway, we get chatting and he says, "Oh, look, I want to show you something." So he takes me upstairs. It was a 3-story home, into his bedroom, and there was a desk in the corner. And I said, "What's the big deal with the desk?" He said, "I picked this up at an auction for $500. It's the desk that George Bernard Shaw wrote Pygmalion on, and where that quote that you have quoted, because we'd been talking about the quote at some point earlier in the week, and he said where that quote was penned."
Wow.
So it's just like that is just bizarre. I mean, you just can't create those moments.
No, you cannot. You cannot.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so good. Oh, my goodness gracious me. Okay, so if you could be remembered, and we'll finish on this one. If you could be
Okay.
remembered for one message or action, what would it be?
I've often thought about this. I would say to anyone that's interested or listening, don't limit yourself. One of my favourite sayings, which was a quote from a guy called Lou Engle, who I heard speak here on the Gold Coast probably 20 years ago now, was live larger, dream bigger, fight harder. And I think if there was anything that I would want to say to people is none of us dream big enough. I never thought that I'd be a member of Parliament one day. If I had my time over, I might have started at this a bit earlier and I would have aimed for PM or something, but I probably left my run a bit late. And while I've had a great life, I think I've also been a bit self-limiting at times because I haven't dared to dream bigger and I haven't always fought hard enough.
Yes.
So
I can agree with that one wholeheartedly. Like you, I would never have dreamed I was doing what I'm doing now.
yeah.
And now I'm gone. I've only got a limited time to
Yeah.
get my legacy out
Me,
there.
I'm running out of time
We're running
too.
out of time here. Albeit we'll live to 100, so it'll be fine.
Well, my wife says she wants me to live to at least 100.
Absolutely. Well,
So-
we have an obligation to do that, Rob. We'll do
Yeah.
it together, okay?
Okay.
Well, thank you for today. It's been an
Thank you.
absolute pleasure, and I've loved your stories. And we've got a lot in common. It's quite amazing. So thank you.
Oh, thanks.